I think we've all been there. You're sitting there, maybe making dinner. The background, the television's playing, and on the news they're saying that today the S&P 500 was up 300 points. What the heck are they talking about? So that's what we're going to get into today. Today is what is the S&P 500? So let's begin by taking a look here at some terminology, and um, we see that the S&P 500 is widely regarded as the best single gauge of large cap US equities. When we say large cap US equities, we're referring to companies that are their stock is worth $10 billion dollars or more. So this is a company like Home Depot, just as an example. And we'll look at some other examples here in a minute. It'll be kind of fun. We'll go through some of the different companies that are in the S&P 500. Uh, so the other thing we want to look at is these these five. Let's first talk about the index. So we talked about the 500 part. S&P stands for Standard and Poor's. So it's a company that decides which of these stocks are included in the S&P 500. And so the last part of this is index. When we refer to an index, we're referring to something that measures how the stock market is doing. So this is a tool that's used to measure how the U.S. stock market is doing. And does the S&P 500 tell us how the stock market is doing? The short answer is mostly. It mostly tells us how the U.S. stock market is doing. As you see here, it includes about 80% of the market cap in the U.S. So we're not including mid-sized companies, small-sized companies, but around 80% of the companies in the United States are included in the S&P 500. So let's look at some of the companies in the S&P 500. We'll go over to Wikipedia here, which does a good job of tracking all of these. So we have Adobe. If you have a computer, you've probably used Adobe. It's a software. Aflac. You might see the commercials with the little white duck that says Aflac. There's my duck impersonation of Aflac duck. What else we got here? I'm sure nobody's heard of this company. Google, referred to as Alphabet. So if you Google something, you're using Google's software. Amazon, the book-selling company through the web. And let's skip down a little ways here. Let's get out of the A's. Best Buy, you may have shopped there before. And what else we got? Campbell's, they make soup, as we know. And you're probably seeing a lot, as I scroll through here, you're probably recognizing some that I'm skipping over. Chipotle, the sort of fast food Mexican company. And we'll do a few more here. Domino's, pizza company. And so these are all companies that they created stock to run their company, and their stocks are included in the S&P 500. What else? Home Depot, we mentioned them before. What else we got? MasterCard. If you use a credit card, you might be using one of MasterCard's credit cards. And coming down to the end of the alphabet here, Starbucks, coffee company, Target, very large company that owns stores where you can shop at. Tesla, Elon Musk founded this company that creates cars. So you get the drift. Lots of big companies included in the S&P 500. Finally, I want to take a look at the numbers here, because there's an actual number that's used. An actual number that's used to tell us how the S&P 500 is doing. So right now it's at 4,296. Today it was up about 0.5%, and it was up about a little over 24 points today. We got a chart here looking at the history of it. This one only goes back to December 1st of 1984. But we know the stock market has been around a lot longer than this. This chart just goes back to here. So back then, it's kind of interesting to see that the S&P 500 was at 189 or 181, as you can see over on the right side. And then, it went up to 1,500 or so in June 1st of 2000. This was the top of the bubble. You might remember the tech bubble before the crash. And then here was another crash. You might remember the great kind of correction back in 2008 when we had another crash. And then here we are today at 4,000, just over 4,200. And if you've been following the stock market, you might have realized last September we were at an all-time high, and we've kind of taken a little bit of a correction since then. So that is a quick look here at the S&P 500, and I'm going to try to put out some other videos about this and just what does this mean for you personally. So maybe if you want to leave a comment below letting me know if you'd be interested in knowing more about the S&P 500 and maybe ETFs and that kind of stuff, I'd be happy to make a video on that. All right, you guys take care.